Hello, all you wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. So, if you noticed, I mentioned in a community post about trying to buy, at least taking a few weeks to buy some more horror like movies. Um, so, I wanted to go through. Not all of these are specifically horror movie, but some of them are more thrillers and such like that. But they do have horror elements in them. Um, but yeah, I wanted to share some of my movies that I already have that I consider in the horror kind of genre. Loosely, anyways. I will mention that for the start. Some of these I can clearly see you would not consider them horror, but I'll explain as I go through when we come to them. But yeah, I wanted to share these movies and just, well, like I said, and then as I get more the horror movies, still haven't decided if I'm going to show them weekly as I pick them up, or if I'm just going to do one giant video around Halloween to see what we add to this. Um, Anything else I want to mention beforehand? Um, Everything is pretty much fair game as far as what I get for up to Halloween. Um, It might even be repeats too, because I have a few horror movies on uh, DVD still that I really enjoy that I would like to get on Blu-ray. Um, so yeah, them are also fair game. But yeah, I hope to add some new stuff to my just in general media collection. So yeah, let's get started. So we have Ryan Reynolds Buried. Um, this is actually a pretty fantastic movie. It surprised me. considering considering how this movie was filmed, it was a good one. I don't know where I'm gonna set these, but yeah. Something I mentioned before. We have Vampire Hunter D, and then we have the sequel, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. These are fantastic horror anime films. Highly recommend them. So then, I do have at least I think I have the entire movie series of this. Resident Evil. Got Resident Evil 1, then Apocalypse, then Extinction, then Afterlife, then Retribution, and then currently it says it's the final chapter, but we will see about that. These are not fantastic horror movies. I give a pass to the first one, but the movies following the first one kind of gets more and more ridiculous, and I would say even the writing gets worse and worse with each movie. Like I would say up to Extinction, it's kind of alright. It's an alright series up to Extinction. But then when you get after that, it gets pretty bad with them trying to shoehorn in characters and such like that. So yeah, um, if you enjoy the series, yeah, they're worth a watch, but they're not anything special. I also recently just picked up Resident Evil Vendetta, which is an animated film of theirs. I remember it being alright. I haven't watched it recently, but I do remember watching it around when it first released. We'll move over to my well, we'll just keep on going through the Blu-rays, I guess. We have Zombieland and Zombieland Double Tap. These are not really horror movies. They're comedies, but they're zombie films. Come on. I have a triple featurette, or triple feature, sorry. The reason I have this one is the movie at the top, Doom. It has horror elements in the movie, although they consider this a three movie action featurette, or feature, sorry. Doom still has some horror elements to it. Though the other movies on here is pretty good too. Well, the Scorpion King, you can take it or leave it probably, but the rundown's pretty good. We have Species on Blu-ray. But yeah, I really like the series of Species. At least the first and second. Can't remember the third one too well. And I don't know if I watched the fourth one. Then we have Final Destination, not the Final Destination, but just Final Destination, the first one. And Final Destination 2, the second one. Third one, well, number 2 is not as good as the first one. The first one's more of a thriller kind of horror, and the second one really just, it goes really for the goriness and stuff of the deaths, so it's kind of a little bit over the top. My only classic horror movie I have in my collection is The Wolfman on Blu-ray, and that is because I just saw it, and since I don't see these kind of movies out in the wild too much, I had to pick it up. Though I don't know much about the classics. You guys are gonna hate that I haven't seen this movie, but we have Alien on Blu-ray. I never actually seen the first movie in this series. Then we have, skip forward ahead like 20 years, we have Prometheus, which I think is supposed to be a sequel to in the Alien series, or maybe it's some kind of spiritual kind of successor. I don't know. I am not familiar with the series enough to tell you if this is actually a part of the Alien series or not. It's by the same it's from the same director as Alien, but yeah. This movie I just really enjoyed when I watched it, so it's a thriller, but also can fall into the horror for some aspects. Disturbia. It's an interesting kind of, I guess you would say, mystery kind of film. This is funny, but it has horror elements mixed in that Had to put it on here. We have Beetlejuice. Awesome. Alright, so I have these next three films in here due to just. I believe this takes inspiration from the classic monster movie. But these are mainly action films. But due to that fact alone, I believe this takes inspiration from the kind of classic monster movie this is retelling the story of. That's the only purpose I have it in this kind of collection of movies. We have The Mummy. We have The Mummy Returns. And we have The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. First one is the best. Returns was kind of just more the same in a sense. Though you do kind of, in the Mummy Returns, you get the Scorpion King, which The Rock plays. I don't remember a lot of Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. But I know they're good action films, so there is that. But that's what I meant, like Universal classic monster movies, where I believe Mummy was one of the classic monsters, along with like Frankenstein and was Dracula a Universal monster? No, Invisible Man and the Wolf Man. I don't know. But yeah. They're fun movies too. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This is funny. It's completely over the top, spoofing other kind of slasher horror films, and it's just a good time. So I have this series on here due to the first film, because the first film that released, it's not in actually, is it? No, it's not in chronological order, but the first movie released in this series it kind of had a horror element to it. So we're talking about the Chronicles of Riddick, Pitch Black, but I also have the Chronicles of Riddick, and I also have just Riddick. The last two movies I think are more along the lines of like action films, but this has action along with like a horror element to it, to surviving, which is they're good movies. I haven't watched them in a while though. This one's I would consider this one like a classic, even though it came out in the 90s. We have The Faculty. This came out at the tail end of the 90s, but it was a nice, like, retelling aliens kind of taken over kind of story. It was very much just. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it several times. I think I even watched it for Halloween a couple years ago. I can't remember. This one's another one of my favorite ones. I rented it when it first released, back when you rented VHS tapes. So I had to get this on Blu-ray eventually at some point because I think I also got it on DVD at one point. But anyways, we have Cube. Now, this is a very excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, I would give it a chance. It's probably not the best movie, but it's definitely worth watching. Now, this series had a couple sequels. I've seen the sequels. Um, Cube 2 Hypercube and Cube Zero. Cube Zero, I give a little bit more credit, but Cube 2, it was just them trying to retread, and it just didn't really make much sense in a series that already was left to more interpretation of what's happening. Cube 2 just kind of confuses things. Even some aspects of Cube Zero kind of confuses things because Cube Zero goes back to be a prequel to the first film, and it tries to add in elements and stuff, but in the end, it just didn't make sense whatsoever with what they were trying to do, and Cube is just the only film you really need to watch in the series. So I have a 3-movie collection, the Scream trilogy. I think I've watched Scream 1 and Scream 2. Have I seen Scream 3? Maybe. But this also includes a few documentaries of the movie. Still Screaming, the ultimate scary movie retrospective, and Scream: The Inside Story. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I still actually need to I would like to get the complete series, like Scream 4 onward, to just complete the series. Here's a good old comedy slash horror film, I guess. It's called The Frighteners. Stars Michael J. Fox. I don't really hear this was like the directorial debut of Peter Jackson. I don't know if I hear a lot of people talking about this film. I saw it when I was younger, so it was always in the back of my mind. So I was able to re-pick this up due to remembering the movie. But yeah, this was a good film. This is the director's cut, so I did watch this recently, and I do roughly remember some scenes that must have been added for the director's cut compared to when I originally watched it. So my cat can't make what heads or tails if it wants to be in the room or out of the room. But yeah, so definitely this is worth looking up and watching. Yeah. Van Helsing. Hugh Jackman. So yeah, I did originally have this on DVD. I upgraded to Blu-ray when I saw it in the clearance section of half-price books, so why not? This is a give or take kind of action with horror elements kind of movie. Like, it does nothing particularly special, but it's a good popcorn movie, I guess you could say. Like it comes and goes, and it doesn't leave any memories with you that much, but it's fun while it lasts, I guess you could say. I have a few DVDs here. We have a more thriller kind of movie. Cellular. I can't. I'm having trouble with that word. Cellular. Um, I actually really enjoyed the this movie when I watched it when it first came out. Like, just the adrenaline of the movie, and yeah, it really leads you along, and I really had a fun time watching it. So yeah, I think I'd like to get this on Blu-ray, but it's not really on one of my top priority lists. This one, I'm not even sure if it has a Blu-ray, but it might. I just haven't really looked it up. What Lies Beneath? So, this is another movie I don't hear talked about that much. It's a ghost movie. Um, Stars Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer. Um, I remember enjoying this even when I was younger, so maybe it's not as good of a film as what I remember it being, but because I haven't watched it recently. But I definitely remember it being a good film. Um, if you haven't heard of it, maybe look it up to see if it maybe fits your taste. We have Joyride. A fun take on kind of a slasher movie. Yeah, it's a slasher movie, I would say. So yeah, I think this might have been one of Paul Walker's first films, maybe? Hard to say. No, not one of his first films, because it mentions in the tagline Paul Walker takes a wild ride here and than he did in the Fast and the Furious, so no. But yeah, so this did release, I believe, right around the Fast and the Furious, 2001. Okay, that's when this released. It's a fun movie. Um, I notice I've been saying that about a lot of films, but we're digging through my collection. I, of course, have some ties to all the movies I'm showing you, so I'm gonna say they're good movies just because I enjoy them. Well, I mean, though, when it comes to the Resident Evil movies, that was more I wanted to get the complete series rather than actually enjoying the movies. I have not watched this one yet. I know it's a comedy, but it's a comedy about, I guess, spoofing slasher movies. So we have Club Dread. So from the looks of the movies, it looks like you get your typical kind of Trojan, not Trojan. You get your typical teen, well, not even teen, because these are not teens, but you get your typical over the top characters at like a beach resort or something, and then somebody is, I guess, killing them. Yeah, it's definitely a spoof take. So we have Species 2 on DVD. I really would like to upgrade this to Blu ray. Which, who knows, this next upcoming month might be a good time to do it, because Shout Factory just released a 4K re-release of this movie, so now the Blu-ray itself is not over $100 anymore. So now might be a good time to actually upgrade. So who knows? I really enjoy this movie. This is actually one of the few cases where I would say the sequel is better than the original. So, yeah. I really enjoy this movie. Same with this next one, but this next one never got a Blu-ray release. So, this is actually still my original copy that I had back when I was buying movies in the early 2000s. Yeah, this came out in 2002. So this is my original copy. The only one I can say that is my original. It's the only one I kept over the years. Like, even before rebuilding collections and stuff like that. Like, I went through a period where I got rid of a lot of my DVD movies just because they were taking up space, and at the time I didn't think I needed them. And this movie that I kept is Panic Room, the Super Bit version DVD, which apparently has better sound than a normal DVD. I don't know. This is a really, really good hostage movie kind of thing. I recommend anyone watches it. Definitely. These next two go hand in hand for me. As in, I got them around the same time, back when I first was buying DVD movies. I recently just re-got them. They do have Blu-rays through Shout Factory, which I could end up getting. I don't know, maybe. But we have the remake of House on Haunted Hill. There was an original, I believe, black and white movie release, and then this was a remake of that movie, or retelling, however you want, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this I remember enjoying. I haven't watched. You're gonna hear this a lot. I haven't watched this really since I originally watched it back in the day. So yeah, this is like a retelling or a remake of the original 1959 cult classic that starred Vincent Price. But yeah. Even in the remake, they still have this Vincent Price kind of look-alike person. At least I don't. Let's see, who starred in this? Yeah, I'm not sure from the. And then next, this one's cool because it has a holographic kind of cover. We have Ghost Ship. So I looked up a little bit about this movie here recently, and by recently I mean the last few days, because, like I say, I'm shopping around for horror movies to bulk up my collection a bit with horror movies. Apparently, people think this is not a great film. I remember enjoying it. I just don't know. Maybe my perception of movies, I don't hold a I don't hold critique to them like heavily. Like I can let things slide when I watch movies. Like it takes a super bad movie for me to say I did not enjoy this movie. So, but yeah, Ghost Ship was another one that I owned around the same time as House on Haunted Hill. Would I upgrade this to Blu-ray? Well, maybe we would have to find out. I might. I don't know. These next two movies, I don't really know. I never watched them. I've heard about them, but as far as actually knowing anything about them, I don't really. We got Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. Now, and we also have Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror. Um, these kind of go together because they are both like kind of they're considered grindhouse films or grindhouse, yeah. Which means they're just over the top. I mean, on the cover here, you see the main character. She has a mush. She has a. I don't know what kind of gun that is, but machine gun assault rifle for a leg. I mean, we're dealing with that kind of ridiculousness. And I don't know what Death Proof is either. I never watched any of these movies, so I kind of need to. Um, maybe I might look into because there are Blu-ray releases of them, so maybe they might actually be worth getting on Blu-ray. Because I know I hear people praising them, like to the moon and back again. So maybe they are that special. And the only horror box set that I have is the Puppet Master Blu-ray collection. Well, 12 Blu-ray collection. It's not all the movies now, because they recently released some. I'm gonna call them like puppet standalone movies. So I haven't gotten them, but I do love this movies. At least the first 5 movies, because they actually feel like movies and not so much just straight to TV type films like the later movies do. The Axis trilogy got a little bit better than the stuff kind of here in the middle, but they still never reached the height of what the original 5 movies did. Um, you can completely ignore the legacy. It's it's a cutscene film that only has like 15 minutes of original footage that was shot for that movie. Um, but yeah, on that note, I would also like some more of the Full Moon series, or Full Moon features kind of movies, because I do have a few of them that I saw that I just never picked up, and they are typically in the horror genre realm as well. Usually, um, some of them that I might be interested in looking for is probably a series called Dullman. Um, Also, that series has a crossover that I would like to get where Doll Man versus the Demonic Toys. So that is some good fun. And this is a little bit unrelated to horror, but starring the same person that starred as Doll Man. He also had a sci-fi kind of movie series with Full Moon. Um, what is it? And now my mind is blanking on the name. Trancers, I believe, is the name of the series. Anyways, it's not too important. Anyways, this is my horror movie collection. Well, mostly horror movie collection. Like I said, some of these in here are not really horror. It's just a loose, kinda loosely based on horror. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just wanted to share a more detailed, like actual video as I go on this journey to beefing up my horror collection. So, hopefully everyone has a good build up to Halloween this year. Have a great one.